You ever remember that Electro Boom video where he just made a device to censor out swear words?
It's done! It runs on 2 AA batteries with switch and everything and works perfectly!
Well, now I have made a device that does exactly the opposite. Introducing, the thrift store speaker connected up to an ESP32, which plays a very poor quality audio file of DiodeGoneWild cursing.
Bloody hell!
It's quite a useful device. Just if you want to use this as a reaction to some sort of phrase, either in person or on the internet.
Bloody hell!
It's quite a fun thing. It's just a voice recording of DiodeGoneWild reacting to getting shocked from a cheap Chinese shock toy.
Bloody hell! Bloody hell!
Carrying the energy of a random Czech guy directly into your speakers. So, how does this thing work? Well, this speaker right here is just a standalone analog wired speaker which connects using a male-to-male audio cable with both ends looking like this. But this thing has been slightly modified because normally this type of speaker right here has two options for power. You can either use batteries or you can power it from an external power supply through this socket over here. But the thing is, when connecting the batteries, the voltage from the batteries does not backfeed into this port, and they need it to backfeed into this port so that I can power the ESP32 here. So what I have done is I just disconnected the port from the main circuitry and connected it up directly to the battery pack, so that way the battery pack can use this little socket as an outlet, and so you could plug this in and it would get power. So yeah, I had tried with some other options just by directly tapping into the battery bank, and that's why I have this hole drilled over here, but this option was more reliable because, of course, I could just unplug it. With this one, it would be permanently attached. And this ESP32 is just sitting in a simple socket over here. It is a typical 40-pin dual inline package socket, but I have cut it in half and spaced the halves a little bit further apart so that my ESP32 could fit in here. And there's just some little bits of extra circuitry right here. I have connected one of the pins of the ESP to this little audio jack so that, of course, it can play its audio through this cable directly into the audio input of the speaker, which, of course, still remains connected. And but anyway, if you know anything about microcontrollers, you will know that they cannot, or typically cannot, output any sort of analog audio signal. At least regular Arduinos and stuff can't do that, but the ESP32 is not a regular Arduino. It can do a lot more than a regular Arduino, and this one is no exception because I am taking advantage of the digital to analog converter that the ESP provides to translate a single uncompressed wave file, which has been translated into hexadecimal, and converted into an analog audio signal that can be played on a simple analog wired speaker. And the code for doing that was, the process of getting the code for this thing to work was an absolute nightmare because there was a post on GitHub that I saw which described the code to use the analog digital converter in the ESP32 to play audio files, but that code did not work. And so I had to create an account on the Arduino forum just so that I could figure out how to alter the code so that it would actually compile properly and work on this ESP32. That was an absolute nightmare. Yeah, but in the end, I mean, it's kind of a nice gimmick. You get, well, you get the exact opposite of a censoring button, but yeah, you get a swearing button instead. And you might notice something a bit odd here. These springs over here are compressed a bit, and these have actually plastically deformed. So if I stretch it out a little bit, it stays stretched like that. And that is because I had a minor mishap while hooking this up. And when I connected up the batteries, there must have been a dead short circuit going through here. And so basically these little springs turned into light bulbs, and that was quite a scary moment over here. And I mean, it just goes to show how good these batteries are. I mean, nickel metal hydride batteries, or just, yeah, rechargeable AA batteries, I mean, they are significantly underrated. They can pass an insane amount of current compared to the typical alkaline batteries, which might be good in some applications, but I guess if something shorts out, then that means that the batteries, they'll be perfectly fine, and whatever higher resistance is in the circuit, like the metal of these springs, would just heat up a lot and glow. And the funny thing is that these springs, they have been tempered, which basically means they have to be heated up and cooled down very quickly in order to get their springy feel. And heating them up again will cause them to lose their temper and just become regular, ordinary pieces of metal. So these springs aren't as springy as they should be, but they're still just springy enough to keep these batteries in contact. But it does mean that when it's turned upside down without the battery lid in place, they will fall out. But anyway, I think that's enough faffing about. Hope you have a great day.